Hello from Clark Freeport Zone, Pampanga, Philippines. We are kicking off the first Asia Pacific training at PDRF, the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. This is the first in a series of Airlink Regional Workshops to proactively build organizational and collective preparedness. Workshops where we share good practice via tabletop exercises and other interactive sessions. We have 20 NGOs and partners with experience from Afghanistan to Guam, Japan to New Zealand, and archipelagos in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands to represent our very diverse region. Logistics is a major hurdle, but critical to effective aid response. This training is timely and reinforces Disaster Preparedness Month in the Philippines observed in July.
PDRF is a network of companies located throughout the Philippines. They're focused on the idea of helping before, during, and after disasters. It includes both big companies and small companies, but we try to tap the assets, the core assets of different companies. We're based on a cluster system, which includes telecoms, power, water, logistics. These are the strengths where the private sector really has a role to play, and where we can work closely both with the government and with the UN and other international agencies. Well, in terms of the different actors in disasters, there have been traditional actors in the past, but there has been such a gap lately between the number of disasters, the financing, and the resources that are available. So I think the private sector is the missing link to plug those gaps because they have the resources, they have the innovative spirit, they have the dynamism, I believe, to help in the humanitarian activities. There are so many disasters happening, so many calamities, that no matter which country you're from, no matter which country there's a disaster or a catastrophe, there's always a private sector element that can be brought to bear to help. Well, Airlink is one of the great institutions in the world. They provide air assets to 150 NGOs throughout the globe. And logistics is the key part in terms of disasters. So many of the countries, especially the Philippines, they get hit by typhoons, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, human-induced conflicts. And the whole idea is that if we can provide that missing link, which is often logistics, through Airlink, it's such an important element. Philippines is an archipelago with over 7,000 islands. Disasters happen everywhere. And very often it's difficult to get relief goods and relief workers to these very distant islands. But if we have this partnership with Airlink, they can provide a bridge, an air bridge, for us to ferry our goods, to ferry our equipment to the farthest flung areas of the country. And that is a lifesaver that will help make the country a safer place. Well, as I said, logistics is so important in terms of disasters, but the key is to prepare, forge these links before a disaster happens. We can't exchange business cards when a typhoon is already here and it's swirling around us and we're trying to save lives. So it's best to forge pre-agreements with different organizations around the world before something happens. And rest assured, it will happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So for Airlink to bring together people and organizations from so many different countries around the world, bring together in one place the knowledge that it's exchanged, the business cards, the partnerships that are forged are invaluable. So that's why we're really happy that Airlink decided to come to our Clark Operations Center and make it its home for a couple of days here. I was impressed and amazed at the very different types of people, cultures, and organizations, whether NGOs, private sector organizations, civil society. They're all here for these next 2 days, and that just being able to discuss ideas, share best practices in a common forum is truly important. Airline partnerships are a major link during disasters. We know that for a fact. As I mentioned, the Philippines is a country of so many different islands, over 7,000 islands, and the only way to reach the most distant areas is by air or by boat, but by boat takes much longer. So we've been in situations where we need aviation assets to airlift goods to these different islands, and need different types of aircraft. And that's what we're hoping that the partnership with Airlink will provide, because the key, the important thing is that during the first 72 hours, if we can get both goods and relief workers to these distant islands, it's going to make a huge difference in terms of the quality of life and of the people. We can ferry medical teams, we can ferry chainsaws to cut away the debris, you name it. Just having these air assets available is a truly valuable resource. Well, in the Philippines, we've been through many different types of crises. And what we've noticed is that there's always a very human desire to help, both from within the country and from outside. But the important thing is that we have these established NGOs, these organizations. They can help funnel the aid. They have the credibility to make sure that the aid gets to where it's most needed. They avoid duplication. What we've noticed in different typhoons or different earthquakes is that certain towns will get an oversupply of aid, other towns will get no aid at all. So we try to plug those gaps, and as other established NGOs try to do. In addition, we try to make sure that the aid that we get and that we send to recipients is the aid they need. Sometimes we'll get donations of coats and overcoats for people in tropical weather areas, and it's something they don't need. It's very much appreciated. Everything is good, but it's just not the right type of aid for the situation.
Afghanistan is a country that's had decades, unfortunately, of challenges and obstacles, whether it's conflict and war, government change, climate change, just multiple natural disasters. But the single biggest challenge the country faces is being disengaged from the rest of the world. It's an easy place. There's many reasons for the world to want to forget about Afghanistan, particularly given circumstances in the country right now. And we just urge all of us to collectively consider and remember that there's many millions of Afghans that need our support, engagement, and humanitarian assistance going forward. PDRF Foundation has been really privileged to work with Airlink and its partners such as CAM Air, the local Afghan partner, and the international partners that move goods for us from the United States to Dubai. For us, it's a critical example of this continued engagement and link with the outside world. And for us as a humanitarian organization that needs to source critical items such as infant formula, it's only with the support and help of Airlink and its partners that we can actually deliver such and serve Afghans that need them. So Afghanistan, as I said, needs engagement with the world. It needs engagement with private sector companies, with logistics companies, with nonprofits. So for us, this opportunity to attend the training not only broadened our own understanding and expertise of challenges and lessons learned in other markets that we can take home and use with our communities and stakeholders in Afghanistan, but it's also a great chance for us to remind people again that Afghanistan is a country of almost 40 million people. It needs continued support and engagement, and we just welcome all of you at some point to come visit, or at least keep Afghanistan in your collective hearts and minds. And then final comment, I just want to thank our hosts here at PDRF, the Philippine. I've learned a lot about sort of the Philippine structure for disaster resilience and recovery, and of course partners and sponsors like Cebu Pacific, which are extraordinarily generous in sort of providing transport and accommodation and just understanding of the Philippine marketplace. So thank you both, as well as to the Airlink team.
So Buddhist Foundation faces quite a few obstacles when doing relief work. I think the biggest one is about deploying volunteers to the site, especially we have a lot of safety concerns for our volunteers. And being a grassroots organization, having the ability to respond quickly, but at the same time to have the knowledge and the technical expertise to respond is very important for us as well. Of course, there's also the problems of logistics. How do we send relief aids into the area, and how do we send personnel into these areas as well? So the first time we actually partnered up with Airlink was last year during the Ukrainian relief, and it was very exciting to know about an organization that is doing the work that Airlink does, because it's not something that people think about. So it's very important for us with this partnership, because we were able to reach communities that we wouldn't have otherwise reached, and also to work with other partners. Airlink provides a really big platform for other NGOs where we can collaborate, we can kind of talk about the similarities that we have and what is it that we can do towards the same goal. So I think this partnership is extremely important for us, and it's something that we want to continue going forward as well.
Yeah, I think it's very important because just with the Turkey Syria earthquake, Airlink helped so much with regards to who should we find on ground and who is on ground. So that was amazing. And when I attended the meetings online, I was just amazed and blown away by the number of organization that is on the Airlink platform.
So coming to this training has been amazing for us. We've gained a lot of technical skills, and also being able to network with other organizations. So a big thank you to PDRF for hosting us here at their facility, and of course Airlink for putting us all together, and Cebu actually for flying other organizations into this area so that we are able to communicate and facilitate this communication and partnership with all the other organizations here.
So when I first came here, this PDRF facility was like really clean and really well managed, and I was like, wow, it's a very nice place to host this conference, this workshop. And then thank you so much to Airlink for bringing all of us together to this place to have this 2-day workshop. We've learned a lot. And especially with all this networking and being able to listen to other organizations and know what they're doing in their own countries. And so it's opened our minds because I think especially when there's disasters happening, it's very important that we understand and know what other people are doing and not just do our own stuff, and where all the resources are pulled together to make the maximum assistance of it. Yeah.
As a small NGO, we do face challenges. One of the challenges I can think of is volunteer recruitment. Although Singapore is blessed with many people with professional skills, like we have doctors, we have nurses, we have mental health specialists, educators, even people with chemical engineering backgrounds who could do clean water projects. But the challenge is that not Singaporeans are a very comfortable lot, so it takes a little more to encourage people to go out there to remote places, to refugee camps, to use their skills to help others. Another challenge I can think of is operational, like whenever we launch a response and we go to places to deliver aid. For example, I won't mention names, but in a certain country, you may face challenges at the airport, with custom officials. Sometimes it could be the inefficiencies of processes on the ground, and it can be challenging to deliver, say, water filters to a certain place, or even masks to face masks to a place that has suffered from haze, like for example in Indonesia back in 2015. Incidentally, 2015 was a very busy year for us. We responded to quite a few crises, including Nepal earthquake, and we went as far as Vanuatu, so when Cyclone Pam hit it. So logistical challenges are many, which is why we really appreciate the partnership with Airlink. I was really glad to find out about Airlink from a friend who told me about it, and we connected with the Singapore representative of Airlink, and it was a very good partnership, and we really appreciate it because as a small NGO, we really like the fact that there's another NGO out there that decided that they should centralize things and support other NGOs, especially the small ones.
React really values partnerships, and we know that they are key. Here in the Philippines right now, we're with PDRF and sponsored by Cebu Pacific, and they're helping Airlink run this event. Without them, this wouldn't be happening. So it's really, really important to establish these partnerships and continue to collaborate and grow in the humanitarian sphere. Without collaboration, we won't improve. So that is why it's so key. One of our main obstacles we face is logistics management. Getting people on flights to places. In a disaster, it could be quite a complex operating environment. And because we send volunteers, it can be quite difficult to get people to the places we need in the right time because we do have that rapid response piece. Also funding. We are a really small dynamic organization, and it's quite hard to get funding because we're not in a country for a long time. We really focus on funding when there's a disaster that happens, but we only normally have about 4 days before the larger organizations come in and launch their DECA pill and then get all the funding. So funding is key. And without funding, we can't operate. At React, we really value our partnership with Airlink. They are crucial to ensure we can reach the communities that we need to get to. Of course, funding is such an issue. And because we need to get people on plane seats, and that is a huge cost to us. And Airlink support has been phenomenal. The fact that they can get us to Ukraine, to Sierra Leone, and to even here in the Philippines has been a great help, as we just wouldn't be able to afford it ourselves. Additionally, they've been great with their coordination calls. If there is a disaster, they have all of the support there needed for us as an organization to coordinate with other local partners to ensure our response is really effective. And lastly but not least, they are just a really good organization to provide situational awareness and to help grow the humanitarian response and be part of the sphere.
So our obstacle actually to be able to respond within 24 hours of disaster. So it usually needs us a bit longer time than what we would love to due to custom clearance, availability of transports, and so on. Partnership is very important for us to be able to cater the demand, and especially during emergency, to have partners like Airlink to be able to help us to connect us to the ground zero as fast as possible and as efficient as possible.
The obstacles that we face in our work is usually miscommunication, uncoordinated support and response, actually. Also, there are a lot of competition now with funding. So we are always trying to look for ways and partners and opportunities to expand our impact without really spending a lot ourselves. So that's why partnership is really important for us. The partnership with Airlink is very important because Airlink is a crucial platform for us, not only for knowledge sharing really with other partners, but also so that we're able to facilitate smooth movement of our goods from one area, from one point to the next. And because of this, we're able to provide timely, efficient, and impactful services to our participants and stakeholders. Coming to this training, I expected just a little bit of networking and technical and practical experience sharing. But after the training, I gained a lot of information about what the others are doing, what they have to offer, and how we can complement. And not only that, I also found personally my purpose again. Why do we do the things we do? And I think that's very, very important. And at the same time, it's really, really important that we all come together for one common purpose, one common good.
As you've just heard from a number of our participants, trainings as these are so important for both preparedness and coordination prior to disasters. We wanted to thank all of the participants who came out to this event, took time out of their schedules to be active participants in this learning process. Additionally, we'd love to thank our partners at the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, not only for being such gracious hosts, but for also providing all of their meaningful insights throughout this process. We would also like to thank our partners over at Cebu Pacific for being our regional airline sponsor for this event, and as well as active participants in the training. Lastly, we would like to thank the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation for their ongoing support of communities in crises through Airlink and its partner network. Thank you all.